What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review of the fourth studio album by singer-songwriter, often of the more folk, indie, and alternative variety, Father John Misty. This new album is titled God's Favorite Customer, and it's the quick turnaround after Pure Comedy that just came out in 2017. Now that release is something that I know critics and a lot of fans seem to enjoy, but I feel like it was made for a very specific crowd and mindset. It's like an indie and I guess critic pleaser, and it's not something that I could take the bait on. I just didn't feel strongly about it. In fact, I found a lot of it to be kind of pedantic and boring, and that's just my take, and I kind of got crucified when I put up my little review on my extras channel because I didn't feel like giving it a full-on review. But whatever, different strokes for different folks. I actually really enjoyed his debut album Fear Fun and absolutely loved the phenomenal sophomore effort I Love You Honey Bear, which saw a lot of songs dedicated mainly to his wife. Now on this next record, God's Favorite Customer, I've actually been with it for about 2 months now, considering the album leaked on Apple Music just almost as soon as it was announced. And that's kind of a crazy mistake. It's something on Apple's part, but I've had a lot of time to really soak in this record here and there, and I don't often get that experience. I don't often get months to gather my thoughts on something, but I can genuinely say that this record does grow on you, like a friend that starts off, you're kind of good friends, but at this point, I just feel like I know it, not inside and out maybe completely, but very, very well, and I like it. Okay, maybe I'm being a bit shrewd when I say that I like this record. I absolutely love and adore God's Favorite Customer. This is a very strong bounce back after a bloated effort that was far too long. This one clocks in at less than 40 minutes, and it has 10 songs that isn't filler at all. There's not a single song that I would cut from the track listing here because they all have a strong importance to them. And unlike the past two records, this isn't so much a concept record, even though there are tie-ins, and the overall tie-in is mental health. Josh Tillman, aka Father John Misty, is in a time of despair in his life, or else he was when he was writing this record. And for 2 months, he actually lived and stayed in a hotel, just in isolation, feeling sorry for himself and unable to take care of himself. And he references this several times as this record continues on. Some of the moments that deal with it directly and head on would be The Palace, which is a piano ballad that's kind of gorgeous in its airiness and its simplicity, and also the super fun and catchy lead single, Mr. Tillman. Easily one of the best songs of the year. It's so much fun. The commentary, if you know Father John Misty, it's on point, it's sharp, it's witty, it's sarcastic, and it bites, and the instrumentation is just fantastic. A blast to listen to over and over and over. Even though Josh Tillman often hides behind the wall of comedy, it's clear that he had a struggle and a problem, whether it be with his marriage, and he talks about wanting to come home and to work things out and not exactly knowing what his life has become on some of these tracks like The Palace, or even the title track, God's Favorite Customer. He balances that and then just kind of goes back to some of his earlier days. The way that he was perceived as being like a ladies' man, and Date Night is a blast to listen to, just a total romp because it's super sarcastic once again. However, he's able to easily change lanes and get downright earnest on something like Please Don't Die, as he writes from the perspective of his wife, and he has these suicidal tendencies, and she's begging him not to go. You're all I have, he cries out from her perspective. And this one, if you just listen at surface level, you might think that maybe it's just an over-the-top love song, but it's actually somebody crying out, please stay in this world, do not end your own life. And there are other references to suicide and depression on this record. In fact, it's kind of chocked full to the brim with them. But the opening track, which is another top favorite for me, Hangout at the Gallows, definitely references this head on. The horns, the strings, the backing vocals, and the way that Tillman presents himself on Hangout at the Gallows is a very prompt start to this album. It immediately lets you into where he's at in his headspace, and I really don't see how anybody who's been a fan of Tillman in the past could dislike a song like this. It has a swarm of really everything and his most likable qualities all in one song. The additional female vocals on the title track are absolutely gorgeous. What a way to take this track over the moon. I mean, it started off great, but this just truly implements a new style and is able to lift up what was already great about this song. And as Misty continues on this one, he's able to kind of personify these thoughts and things that he had as a child. He was a good kid, he was raised in a Christian home, and now all he wants is some help from a God that he doesn't even believe in his darkest hour, and he's reaching out in kind of a twisted way, knowing that he doesn't actually think anything is there, but he's in such of a pit of a despair. He doesn't know what else to do, so he turns back to a God that he doesn't believe in and reaches out. Don't you remember me? I was God's favorite customer. The songwriter is a nice change of pace on this record that offers us a different lyrical perspective, and I like how Tillman approaches this one vocally and musically. We're able to dive into his psyche in a little bit of a different way, and we get a very interesting take on lyrics and storytelling here. I also have to commend the track Just Dumb Enough to Try, that even though it seems like maybe there's a sense of humor there, I feel like this one is a little bit more on the nose and it actually gets serious, and I love to see him actually trying and getting desperate, saying, "I'm just dumb enough to try to keep you in my life." We also get some humor that's injected in subtle ways throughout this album. Hangout at the Gallows has it, and then The Palace, where he talks about in particular getting a pet, and it's ironic because he can't even take care of himself, but he's talking about perhaps getting a pet, maybe naming it Jeff, and then having it live with them. And it's really interesting because it shows you how down on his luck he was feeling. He was just trapped, isolated in this hotel for months on end, and he's just going over all of these scenarios, not knowing what to do, and just feeling totally vulnerable, and saying, maybe this pet will get me out of this pit of despair. It's a little laugh, a little chuckle, but also you feel sad for him. His jaded perspective continues on some of the album's best cuts, and the final ones that I want to talk about today. The closing track, We're Only People, and there's not much anyone can do about that, and obviously Disappointing Diamonds are the rarest of them all. Something that feels musically a little bit more like I Love You Honey Bear because of its fast pace. It has a great guitar line on it, and I love the bass and just the drumming. It feels a little bit jazzy, a little bit alternative, and it's a great mixture. It's a fast-paced one that goes away far too quickly, but I do love it for what it is. Father John Misty's new album, God's Favorite Customer, is an extremely compelling piece that sees him in a different state of mind and in a very bad state of mind at times, and I love that he's not afraid to discuss his mental health, sometimes with humor, and that's okay. I think people need to understand that because there is still a stigma around mental health and depression and talking about these issues. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to relate it to other things, and it's okay to inject some humor in there as well. Overall, for me, this has to be one of my favorite records of the year so far. I'm giving God's Favorite Customer a strong 4.5 out of 5. Don't forget to leave a like on this video and comment down below what you think of the album. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I do all kinds of music related videos here and on my second channel, Beyond ARTV. If you would like to support me on Patreon, there's an annotation in the corner, and there's also a link to my last Father John Misty review right over here. All of my social media accounts can be found linked in the description down below, and other than that, I'll see you very soon for more on ARTV.